Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, Jim.
What an honor, Lauren. We just met a couple of weeks ago. I
Yeah.
interviewed you, and it's like, man, we all had this chemistry going.
Yeah.
And I reached out to you originally because I thought I love the concept of 52 Weeks of Hope. So I'm really honored to be on.
It was so great. And definitely when you talked about being 41 and being terminated and then getting a cancer diagnosis and being the sole breadwinner with four
Mm.
kids, that's why I was like, okay, you have to talk about overcoming that. But just as importantly, you and your wife, your kids are out of the house, having the nerve to pack up everything, move to live on a houseboat. I mean,
That boat right there, wherever it is.
yeah, right. I mean, it's like, to take that kind of a leap takes nerve too. So, how did you? And you said you're not even boat people that are like boat people. I can see,
We
but
are now. We
yeah, I'm
consider ourselves
sure.
boat people. And you know what? Stephanie and we're drawn to the water. So I guess if you're drawn to the water, a boat's a good place to be since we don't have lakefront property.
But you don't have a house to give when you're not into the water to be like, okay,
No, there's something we have learned magical about floating and being on the water, uh, being 20 miles off the shore, having your heart beating out of your chest, and then you make it back to the dock and you go, "Oh my God, did I just do that?" And it's so peaceful. And Stephanie and I found several times in our 5-year journey, Lauren, and as I mentioned to you, we did over 12,000 miles. We didn't just like live on a boat. We traveled up and down the coast. And there was a couple times, probably a handful of times, when we were within 1 hour, just scared out of our wits. Like, what are we doing? This is done. We're selling the boat. And then watching a sunset, or we wake up and it's beautiful and we just move on with it. And the thing that is we just felt very alive, whether you're scared out of your wits or you're just deep appreciation for the lifestyle. We felt alive. One of the sayings that we came up with whenever we'd be scared to death was, well, we could be watching TV on the sectional.
yeah, that's what
That
you
would be
said
pretty
to me.
boring.
I have that
Yeah.
written down. We could be watching TV on a sectional, which is so not me. I mean, I'm not a
Yeah,
TV watcher, but it says everything.
it
It
does.
does. It encompasses everything. So, what had you guys make that leap? I will go back to how. I mean, you've written 7 books. You've done so much, and you have so much
Mhm.
to teach. But what gave you guys the oomph to take that kind of a leap?
We were in our home for, I guess, about 28, 29 years. We raised 4 kids, beautiful property for that acre and a half of grass. But
Wow.
I'm cutting grass. I'm cutting up trees that fall down in the winter, shoveling the driveway. And I was just getting tired of caring for the home when it was just the two of us. And Stephanie was at the time in a pretty high pressure job. I've been an entrepreneur since 2001, so I'm location independent, but obviously she had her job. When she decided to leave her job, we were suddenly not location dependent anymore. And she came home one day after work and said, "Jim, we need to go on a big adventure." And we sat and talked about it because so we were, let's see, we were 57, I was 57, somewhere around there. And we had felt like we've lived a very safe, predictable life. Raise the kids, go to church, put some money away, you have insurance, everything is like by the book. And Stephanie thought we should go do something very adventurous while we're still young and healthy and good shape, right? My old expression was, I want to go take a boat trip and be on a boat before my bones get so brittle I'm going to break my leg getting in the boat. So we tossed around a bunch of things, Lauren, living on an island, traveling to this, and said, well, what if we lived on a boat? So we originally were going to do it for 1 year. We thought that would be enough. We're going to go to Florida and back into New England, and that would be amazing. Well, it turns about 2 to 3 months into what was our big adventure became our lifestyle, and we did it for a little over 5 years. And it all started because we just wanted to do something outside the box.
Which is just so fabulous. I love that. Okay, so let's go back because people, they're like, well, what if, which is a big thing of yours with the just say yes. People sit there in their head and don't take action, and you're an action guy.
It's part of, I've been coaching, I've grown several businesses, and then I started coaching in 2009. And one of the things that I realized is that, and so I never went to school for psychology. This is my uneducated way of describing it. And I think there's 2 halves of your brain. There's the half that gets like really excited and almost romantically and like attracted to this idea. If it's going to be living on a boat, it's going to be great. Sunrises, sunsets, we're floating, to sleep. And then when you decide to do it, because this is going to be fantastic, the other side of your brain kicks in. And I call it the what if, dream destroyer, because the what ifs kick in. And for me, I experienced it. Like, we made a decision. We're going to sell the house. We spent the summer getting it ready. I'm big on social media, way more then. So I was a big fan of announcing your big goals. Like, hey, I'm writing another book. It's going to be out in 60 days. Well, that was pressure, because a lot of people, when's your book coming out? So you see, but anyway, that's the whole thing about goals. But so we said, we're going to do this. Now, oh my gosh, the what ifs kicked in like crazy, Lauren. Like, well, what if I run aground? What if we run out of fuel out in the ocean? What if we, can't dock the boat in high winds? What if, and just all these what ifs, because I've never driven a 50-foot boat before. But you know what? I read this book. The guy was an entrepreneur, sailor, singer, songwriter. And he said, a lot of people dream about, he's a sailor living on a sailboat, and they don't do it because they always think what's going to go wrong. He says, but what if you just say yes to your big dream? And then you find out, oh, this is not too bad a potty language. He goes, what if you find out you're a badass captain and you get to live the adventure of your dreams? Oh, but it's only if you say yes and overcome, all these questions. And I thought, so I wrote my book, Just Say Yes. And I actually sent him a signed copy and said, I give you credit for helping me name this book. It was your book that got me to live this lifestyle.
That's so great. Okay, so about writing the book and having 60 days, because you said that's a different, you announced, I'm going to do this in 60 days. I mean, there's so many people who want to write a book.
Well, my first book, there's my reverse shoulder.
Okay,
the Magic of Newsletter Marketing took 18 months. And in reality, in full disclosure, I share this whenever I speak. I wrote the book in about 9 months, but it took me about another 9 months to get the courage to publish it. Now, in 2009, there was no print on demand like today. It's almost like you can start a business today, like with almost no money down, virtual website, business cards for free. I mean, it's ridiculous. In 2009, I had to place an order for 3,000 books. So it was a big commitment. So I wanted to make sure the book was correct. It was just ridiculous because, again, the what ifs were kicking in. And then I heard the speaker say, my imperfect book is selling and getting me clients and helping people, while your perfect book is still in your word processor. I was in a room about 2,000 people, and I swear he was talking to me. So I published my book, and the next one only took about 7 months. But the last 4 books that I wrote were written and published in 60 days, because I decided, Lauren, that I was okay. If there's a missing comma, it's not the end of the world. I choose to be judged on the value of the information and content and good ideas that I'm sharing, and not the imperfect way in which I share it. That's kind of the mantra I live by.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So there's so many people that they feel like they're not doing what they're called here to do. They have this sense like they're not living in joy. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. How do you help them get clear on what it is they want to do? And then they're scared. Oh, I can't do that. So how do you help them get clear?
Well, there's an expression, perfectionism or perfectionist is a label you wear so it doesn't have to be your fault. In other words, what holds most people back from kind of pulling the trigger, launching, writing, publishing, whatever, is I'm afraid of what people will say if it's not perfect. Oh, I'm a perfectionist. I'll put it out someday. Well, therefore, they never have to face the onslaught. And believe me, there's no onslaught. Yeah. I've had people reach out through email like, oh, Jim, just thought you'd want to know on page 137, you misspelled this. I'm like, okay, thanks. I'll let my team of editors know. The team. I'll let my team know. So on the next printing, we'll fix it. Nobody's going to embarrass you to death. It's people, they become worried. And what I just said, about 2 minutes ago was, make a decision as an entrepreneur, author, coach, speaker, whatever. Just choose that you want to be judged on the information that you share and not the imperfect way in which you share it. I've told so many of my clients that, and they're like, wow, that really works. Because one of the ladies I work with, she said, I've got a voice like Minnie Mouse. I said, well, so does that boxer. I can't remember the boxer's name, but he's got a voice like Minnie Mouse. Not everybody has a big booming voice. By the way, you are so smart at what you do. You understand franchising. You're very, very good. You help people, blah, blah, blah. Rest on that and not what you perceive to be an imperfection, which is your squeaky voice. Believe me, people will forget that when you help them, So
my dentist, I said, just answer the 3 most often asked questions. I said, "What dentist is ever answering questions? You're so good. Nobody's listening to your voice." I said, "That would help so much."
I know.
She said, "I don't like my voice," but I mean, I understand that. She's
Well,
got
a lot
little
of people don't get
kids.
on video, you
Yeah,
probably
that
know
that
that. I
was her
mean,
thing.
you're
Yeah.
very comfortable, I'm comfortable, but that wasn't
No,
always the
I'm
case.
not. I'm actually not. I
Yes,
just
you
don't
are.
think about it. I don't think about well, like this, interviewing you because 'cause I'm listening to you. I'm not thinking about me.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. That's my whole
Which
thing.
so you know what though? Here's a quick little story because again, it goes back to perfectionist. When I started doing videos in 2009, I don't know if you remember that little Kodak camera with a little flip. They called the flip camera. Suddenly, you could create a video for like $100, and you didn't have to spend like $600 for a camera, right? I started doing video, I was doing everything I could to like get my name out there, but I would be like, "Hello, I'm Jim Palmer. I'd like to share some business tips with you because I'm very smart." But that was my persona because I thought that's what people would react to. Well, it turns out I can just be me, a little bit silly, immature on the other side, but I've got some really good business sense, right? But I can just share the business sense and everything else and just mix it in with my own personality. And what has saved me more times than not, Lauren, is marketing in all of its forms, including video, is meant to do two things. It's going to attract the right people to you, and it's going to repel people you're not meant to work with. Because there are some
Yeah.
people who would find it offensive. For example, right now, I tend to look at the picture of you on my screen. I should probably be looking up at my camera, right? But
Yeah, I know.
I want to look at the person I'm talking to. I can't fix it. I've tried, so I'm okay. Forgive me if I'm not looking at the camera. Just judge me from the information I'm sharing on this video.
It's true. I know that too, but I have to look at the picture that's on the screen also. I
Yeah.
know I'm supposed to look at the little dot on the laptop, but yeah, it's not happening. So, and yeah, that's kinda how it is for me too. So, when you're working with people and how do you help people get clear? If they think, "Well, I wanna do this, I wanna do this, I wanna do this," like the next shiny object is always like such a big deal.
It is probably not on day one, but somewhere around the first month or two of a coaching client, they'll bring something up. Hey, this would be a good idea. I said, nope, you don't have my permission. It's your business if you want to do it. But let me tell you why you don't want to do that. Another way I'll say it, depending on where we are in our relationship, is I'll say, well, that's one way to think about it. Do you mind if I share another? A little spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. I said, you can get this done and maybe this done, but you can't do these other four things and not do them well and or on time. But if you can do this right now, and for 60 days, we get your podcast launched, we get your videos launched, we create a nice little brand for you on social media, and then we'll come and revisit the book because that's going to be like really intense 60, 90 days if you kind of follow what I say. So you do have to manage your time. One of the women I coach said, she gave me a very big compliment. And then at the very end, it was a little teaser, but she said, smart marketing is anything. And Jim's also like the father who keeps me in line. I'm not that much older than her, but
Yeah.
I have no problem being a little stern because I think that's what you're paying me for, right? Some of my clients call it Jim's tough love. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think because I have been through it all. I mean, I started broke in debt. And I had real money issues. I had self-esteem issues. I kind of worked through all of that. So nobody can hide from me. So
Yeah.
I have no trouble. If you want me to help you build your business, I'm just going to tell you
So
what we should be doing.
so people listening, what tools can they use that you're teaching your coaching clients? Is it time management? Is it what kind of things can they use now to get clarity or to not go
Well,
after that next shiny object?
first of all, what's more important than almost the what is the who. The who are you trying to attract, right? So I'm working with a CPA right now, and he said, there's a lot of people that can't afford me, and then there's people who think they know it all. I said, well, then all we have to do is find the sweet spot, and we're going to market to them. Right. If somebody's got multi shops and they've got, 12 CPAs, they're not thinking they need your help to market their business. But the guy who's like barely doing 60 grand a year and is paying his college loans and everything, he would love to learn from somebody like you. So you have to figure out the who, because you're not meant to attract everybody. I tend to work with clients, in the six figure to maybe, $500,000 range, and I help get them up there faster and then move on. I have worked with clients in the seven figures, but the sweet spot for me is helping people that are kind of getting started. Maybe they're pre-six figures and they can't get over that hump. Because one of the things that I learned, and I don't know, Lauren, if you've experienced this, the skill set that gets you your first 100,000 is not the same one that's going to get you to 250. And it's not the same one that's going to get you to 500 or 750 if that's where you want to go. Those are all different. And so you don't know that. And since you haven't been there, you don't know what's needed. That's why working with a coach is so imperative.
Yeah, it's so true, and managing your time and thinking, "Oh, I need this, and then I need to do this." Let's go back to when you were 41, you got terminated, you are, the primary breadwinner,
Yes.
and you've got 4 kids.
I mean, I did really well for myself. I was VP of marketing for this training company, and what it turned out, the big lesson for me, outside of the fact that this is what I was meant to do, so that was part of the process. I can look back and see that now. But then it was like, why is this happening to me, right?
Mhm.
And to me, I'm like, well, this guy needed a life preserver, not a marketing guy. And I didn't consider, maybe I didn't do due diligence on the company, but I now know that was all part of the process to bring me into becoming an entrepreneur and helping a lot more people. So that was fine. When I lost my job, I remember I came home and told my wife Stephanie, and I was so confident. I said, "Not to worry, I'll be fielding multiple lucrative job offers in days, maybe weeks." Well, it turned a year later, I'm still unemployed. And I'm even adjusting my resume to like downward. Let me get in and build a name. So I'm in doing everything. Then 12 months into this unemployment, which just wrecked my confidence and self-esteem, I got cancer. And so I had to go through that for 2 to 3 months. What I didn't share with you, because I try to keep the story somewhat short, but so the end of August of 2001, while I'm going through meeting the surgeon, I'm interviewing for this position, holding myself together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, could he see? Can he see the stress on my face? Because I'm trying to pretend I'm just listening to him, right?
Yes.
And I get this job offer. And then the first week in September is 2001 is when I had my surgery. And I was going to be hired to help franchise this chain of musical instrument stores, which was pretty cool. That would have been a really good job. Well, literally, I think it was about 8 days later on September 11th, 2001, the attack. That was some pretty scary times. I mean, everybody remembers there was no planes flying. We didn't know what was happening. And so the job offer was rescinded with let's just hold and see where we're going. Well, it never materialized because that whole fall we were preparing to go to war and all that. So I just got on my knees. I prayed for guidance, and I believe I was told to become an entrepreneur. All the experience that I'd had up till that point in my career led me to become an entrepreneur. And I had no clue I'd be a coach. I'd published 7 books, and I mean, I had no clue any of that was going to happen. But I just built one business, then I built another, and then in about 3 years, I built 4 more online businesses. And then people started asking me, "How do you do all that?" That's when I started coaching in 2009.
You just have no idea what's gonna come from it.
You really
And
do, I think, and I'm no expert on like addiction stuff, but I think you have to hit this very dark place, because then somebody said, "Well, Jim, that's the only way the only other place you can go is up." And it kind of felt like that, because I went from being unemployed, oh, I got cancer. Wait, I might have a job. I got a job. And then I got surgery, and I'm kind of healing. And I was laying on the couch when I saw the TV, and all of a sudden that got taken away. And I have no idea what to do anymore. I was completely drained emotionally. I literally got on my knees and says, I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do with my life? And become an entrepreneur. So that
yeah,
was a turning
yeah,
point. That was beginning of my hope. I should call that my hope week.
yeah, and you just don't know. So, and you talk about authenticity, which there's nothing more
Authentic.
authentic. Yes,
Authentic. There you
than that,
go.
than
There
that.
we go.
Yeah. So you talk about that. So you want to expand on that a little bit?
When I started filming videos, well, we lived near a lake when we were at the house, and Stephanie and I had kayaks. And so when I started figuring out, I can't just sit at my desk and put my little tripod and talk to the camera, or stand in front of my very impressive bookcase behind me. I said, let me go out. And what I kind of figured out is that there's got to be a combination of entertainment and information. And I don't mean like juggling flaming golf pins, but you got to do something. So I thought, wow, I got a little cup holder in the cockpit of my kayak. If I'm very careful and I don't freak out, I'll put my camera in that and I'll go paddle. I used to go paddle every morning, like 6 o'clock. And so I turned the camera on. You can still see these on YouTube. And there's my camera, and I'm wearing my headset. Hey, everybody, it's Jim Palmer, the newsletter guru, who I was at the time. And newsletter guru, I want to share with you some strategies on how to get your newsletter read, opened, etc., how to generate more repeat and referral business. I just did all these things, but I recorded them from my kayak. And then that's when my views started going up. As I was getting busier, I said, well, I got to walk my dog every day about 3 o'clock. Why don't I get a selfie stick and I'll walk my dog and say, hey, there's Toby. Hey, Toby, say hi to everybody. And views keep going up. And so I was getting more comfortable just showing the other side of who I am, other than Mr. Smart Business Guy. But then I was getting ready to film an episode. I'm getting into the kayak, and Lauren, I think it was about April. So it was kind of nice in the afternoon, but the water was still like probably 55 or 60 degrees, right?
Yeah.
And I'm filmed the intro. I said, hey, everybody, it's Jim Palmer, the newsletter guru. Today I want to tell you about this. Let's get going. And I pause the camera, then get myself in, paddle, and turn the camera back on. And I would just edit that, right? So I get in, and my feet hit some green mossy stuff, and I went into the water, and I'm like holding my phone or my camera up in the air, but I was wet from about the waist down. And I'm like, first thing is, did anybody see that? And I was out there by myself. So I then get started, and I'm like freezing, but I said, hey, you know what? The show must go on. So I start the video, and I thought they can probably see my lips turning blue. So, and the little voice in my head that is always there said, tell them what just happened. But I did it in a hey, I don't know, just fell in the water. I'm shivering, but you know what? The show must go on. And people commented like, wow, did anybody film it? Did anybody see it? How cold was it, Jim? And I'm like, my being real and authentic and genuine and just in the moment is getting way more comments than me sharing my brilliant marketing, right? If you do a straight marketing video, oh, you get however many views. And actually, I kind of went with that and got more and more and more into just being who I am as a personality speaking. And my views went to, on average, when my videos, I'd launch them every single week. I did it for like 6 years, never missed a week. And my views went to an average of 1,000 views a week. Now, I don't know if that's a huge amount, but it was more than my marketing friends were getting, because I think I was just being my authentic self, Lauren. Long answer, but that's what happened.
Yeah. That's all anybody wants to see is like you being you when you go on. Yeah, definitely. So do you still send emails? Do you recommend emails, or are emails
still do
done?
emails? I still do social media for the most part, Facebook and LinkedIn. The day that I'm no longer a businessman and need it, I'll probably be off of social media. You'll hopefully never find me, but social media is an important part of helping people get to know you. I don't share too many like funny cat stuff. I share my stuff. My recipe, if you will, for social media is I'll share something, again, and this is, believe me, I'm poking fun at myself, my brilliant marketing advice. I'll share something that might be inspirational, maybe from a life perspective. I did share a lot about Stephanie and I in the boat and things that I learned. And then I might share something just completely off topic. We're into rescuing dogs and stuff, so I might share a picture of my dog. But that's about it. So it's 3 or 4 posts a day, almost every day. Usually don't post on Sunday other than, grateful for another day, just something like that. But but I email, email probably, well, definitely once a week, because I put out an email newsletter every Friday. But then we do some other stuff during the week to promote my live events, like we had with you. And email is not dead. Now, it's not the be all end all, because if you get an open rate of 5 or 6%, you're probably a rock star. But you can't think of email if you got 1,000 people on your list. You got to figure a very small amount is actually getting it. So it's not like I'm communicating with 1,000 people just because you hit go.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the hardest challenge you've overcome, and how did you do it?
Well, in business, the hardest challenge was becoming a speaker. I had a lifelong major fear. I almost didn't graduate high school because I wouldn't stand up in English or history class and read from a book in front of everybody. So I'd make myself sick that day. But when I became an author, people wanted me to start speaking. And I'm like, thank you for the offer. I'm actually traveling that week, blah, blah, blah. I'd lie my butt off because I didn't want to go speak in front of 100 people or whatever. I did everything. I did, Dale Carnegie course, so many things. I did hypnosis. I did everything to overcome that. Well, it turns out I'm a good speaker and people like to hear what I have to say. So I've actually grown to like it. But that was one of the things that held me back. And the flip side of that, so they're kind of actually the same, is putting on my own live events. One of the best things you can do as a marketer, but especially as a coach, is put on your own seminars. I put on 8 2.5-day seminars called Dream Business Academy, but it took me so long to get the courage to do that because it's a big deal. Renting that space, the hotel wants you to spend X number of dollars on food and drink. You usually have to guarantee a certain number of sleeping rooms. And to me, it's like, what if nobody comes? I'm on the hook for that. And then the other side, what if people do come and I get up there and I say everything that I know in the first morning? What am I going to do for two more
Yeah.
days? So
Yeah.
that's the what if brain, right? But
Yeah.
I did 8 sold out Dream Business Academy. So those were the 2 greatest fears that I was able to overcome in business.
Okay. How about personally?
Personal life, for a while, we were kind of stayed close to the coast. I mean, when you're traveling from here to Florida, it's not like you're on lakes, you're on rivers, streams, etc. But then I think it was the 3rd year, we went about 21 miles off the coast. We went from New Jersey to Long Island. Instead of following the coast all the way up, we kind of took the shortest point, or the shortest distance 2 points, and boom. And we were out in the ocean by ourselves. I mean, I was like, it was fine. I trusted my boat, but it was a little bit nerve wracking. And the other part of that being on the boat was anchoring out at night. Usually when we got started, because we had the rescue dogs, we would be in a marina, so it would be easier to walk them. But then we discovered anchoring out in the middle of nowhere is the most peaceful thing, but you just don't sleep because I'm hearing every noise. Is the anchor holding? Are we going to hit shore? Is another boat going to hit us? It's just one of those things we have learned to overcome so many. I call them fears, I guess, but we
Yeah.
said yes. And we've had this amazing 5-year adventure.
That's incredible. Do you have moments that you feel like giving up? And if so, what do you do?
Honestly not. It's certainly in the first couple of years, my first when I so that moment in September of 2001 was the low point for me. I actually started my business in October 2001, and I didn't get my first client till October of 2002. So what I like to say, just to put a funny spin on it, my first year as a business owner was revenue free. So it took me that long to get my first client. Now, honestly, I never felt like giving up. In my darkest hours, I'm like, really? How much testing do I need? I really want this. Okay. And so I kept thinking, someday I'm going to meet the Lord, hopefully. I don't want him to say, why'd you give up? You were almost there. Man, you went 10 months and you gave up. So I just kept going. And what happened, Lauren, is that whole year I was planting seeds, the language I use today. I didn't know it then, but I'm calling on prospective clients, following up with them, calling, knocking on the, and eventually, if you want to have a big harvest, if you plant enough seeds and nurture the seeds, you'll have a harvest. And I got another client, another client, another client. So all that initial year was me preparing the field, planting the seeds, and then I was off to the races.
Yeah, I can never remember what plant it is. There's something that you don't see anything. No part of it comes up, and then suddenly it just grows.
Yeah.
I mean, however, like quite a while later, I
I've
cannot
head that.
remember.
I don't know off the
You
top of
know
my
what?
head,
I
but I know what you're
cannot remember
saying.
what it is, and anyway, and so yeah, it's the same point. Do you have a message I hope you want to give?
Yeah, I do believe that everybody is here for a reason. I believe we're here to serve each other. I think everybody has a God-given skill or talent. So you can either just use that in your private life, or if you happen to use that skill or talent and make it a business, become a small business owner, that's good too. Because when you fully take control of your life, and that's what I mean by the dream business, dream lifestyle, the best way you can control your own life and destiny is to actually create it yourself. Create your own economy, create your own future. Just, it's not easy, but if you have the courage, and just do it. There's one thing, I'm sorry, I'm going to reach, but I have this. This is literally
I was
from
going to ask you about your hourglass.
20
Okay,
years
yeah.
ago. This always reminds me from that very dark period in 2001 that the sand is always running out. It's one of the reasons, I mean, Stephanie and I were going to do it anyway, but it's one of the reasons we said, let's do it now, because at 41, it's not like I was contemplating my future, like, oh, hey, I got another 40 or 50 years to go. I just thought, got a long way to go. Suddenly, for like a period of time before my surgery, I didn't know if my average chance of being alive was 5 years or 8 years or 50%. I didn't know. But that really makes you think about, you know what, we should just do it now. Let's do it now, because we don't know what the future holds. So do it now. Just say yes, conquer your fears, build your dream lifestyle.
Yeah, I love that. And if you didn't bring it up, I was going to ask you about your hourglass, because I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much for being a guest today on 52 Weeks of Hope. And of course, we'll have all of Jim's links and everything else on the website, so you
Thank
can
you
get
so
in
much,
touch with them.
Lauren.
Yeah.